Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas and this is Investing Against the Grain. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing and reviewing full self-driving beta version 10.11, the version that came out just a few days ago. Now, before we get into this, I want to highlight a couple key points just to make sure that there's no misunderstanding about this video or this software or the iteration. First thing, and probably the most important thing for everybody to remember, this is a beta software. All these people have voluntarily accepted the risk to do these tests to be part of this early access beta program. This is purely beta. In other words, it's not feature complete. So any mistakes or anything, you need to understand that this means that it's a learning progress, okay? We want mistakes, we really do, because without mistakes, we can't learn. All right, it's no different than a scientist having a hypothesis, and you want to see that hypothesis through. And if it fails, well, that's good, because that means we can learn from those failures. All right, and that's what FSD beta is all about. All of these testers have been doing this for a while. For this episode, I wanted to make sure I chose people who I thought were critical, yet not, too whiny, or just, where you couldn't see their own emotions or personality come across into it in a negative or positive way too much. You could argue Omar might be a little too positive, but with that said, let's also talk about who's in this video, just because I want to give a shout out to these people. Look, they're putting their cars at risk, they're putting their lives at risk doing these tests. That might sound a little dramatic, but I think we need to respect what they're doing. Also, if there's something that you see and you feel, oh, it could have made that, keep in mind, it's their risk that they're taking, so it's up to them to have the tolerance for that. Even if I agree with you that some things, maybe the vehicle could have made it, or they should have let it push it a little further, well, it's not your vehicle, it's not my vehicle, so it's hard for us to really say those things. Let's also highlight who's in this video. We've got Omar from Omar's catalog. I believe that's still his Twitter handle. We have Kim Parquet, Omar's out of California, so keep that in mind. Kim Parquet, she's out of Rhode Island, goes to Boston a lot. So in this case, we're going to be mainly looking at the small colonial type streets of Rhode Island. We also have Frenchie, who's out of Chicago. And then finally, we have Chuck Cook out of Jacksonville, Florida. So we've got people from all across the country, from the Northeast to the Southeast to the Far West to the Midwest, right? So we've got pretty much the whole country covered. Let's just take a second to think about that. How many other ADAS system, autonomous vehicle systems out there are going across the whole country like this with actual, everyday users using this in non-geofenced areas? Right, so think about that as we go through this and see, and it helps you really quantify how close this really is. None of this is me trying to be biased one way or the other. We're gonna look at mistakes, we're gonna look at successes, and we're gonna look at questionable situations. All right, the whole point is to try and get a very unbiased yet holistic viewpoint of where FSD beta currently is with the iteration of 10.11. All right, I feel like that's enough of a preface. With that said, let's get into it. But before we do it, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and let's get into it.
Okay, that was really good. All right, this is my first drive on 10.11. We all just got it. I think that everybody is kind of doing their first drives right now, so I haven't gotten any feedback other than that Andre Carpathy seems to think that this build is pretty awesome. So I'm hoping that it's good. That creeping and turn that it just got, it has missed that the last couple of versions. So that was good. Now, interesting there, it usually swings out wide on that turn, but it didn't this time. It took it normally, and it didn't freak out that there was a car parked parallel early in when it made the turn. Ooh, this is good. Ooh, it got over. It doesn't always get over here. I'll have to keep doing that to see if it was a fluke, but that was really good. Now we're having to creep across the railroad tracks and then go around this construction. Oh, interesting. It's not following the navigation. Huh. Let's see. I'll let it correct it. I don't really have time for this, to tell you the truth. Oh, This is a road that I have never driven down ever. So, I mean, I haven't even driven down it as a resident here. So, okay, the speed limit is wrong. It thinks that the speed limit is 30 in here, and it is not. This is a good little road for it to try, though, because this is a very weird intersection here.
Just to highlight real quick, so this is Kim Parquette, and she's out of Rhode Island. Okay, so she's going through these small, tiny colonial streets, as you can tell. And I think it's very important to highlight when we're talking about autonomous vehicles, there's a fundamental difference in the way a lot of people are approaching this. A lot of people are using LiDARs and HD maps and things of that nature. And then Tesla's kind of the outlier going with a vision-only approach. And the idea from a Tesla perspective is that if I can't take the vehicle and put it anywhere and just have it drive, then it's not really autonomous driving, right? In other words, I'm trying to, fake it until I can make it, but I'm never going to make it that way. And so what's interesting, and all of that just to say, the vehicle has obviously never driven down this road. I mean, okay, sure, maybe there's another Tesla driver out there at some point that has driven down this road randomly, this little small colonial street, but odds are it hasn't. And Kim has never done it, and she is one of the only FSD beta testers I know up in the Rhode Island area. But the point is, even without the vehicle ever been in that road, it knows what to do. Okay, and I think that is one of the fundamental points a lot of people, a lot of investors, a lot of critics of Tesla miss. This vehicle has never been down this road, yet it still went down it, still knew what to do, because it's not trying to look, see what's around the world, apply that to a map to understand what's actually out there. Instead, the vehicle is looking at the world and understanding fundamentally how to drive, right? So there's a big difference there. I mean, the words, when I say them, are subtle, but the difference is monumental, right? It's literally left or right. It's that drastic. All right, let's continue.
I can go diagonal. There's traffic coming that way. I'm making a hard right here. So, oh, that was really good. Wow. Okay. All right. So I gotta say, even though it missed that turn so far, I'm really loving this behavior. It's been really confident in the turns that it's made. Those were some narrow streets where we got back onto the navigation route, and it handled those really well. And I had never been down there before. It's going a little slow here. I just gave it a little tap. I'm assuming because the traffic in front of me was still stopped. Okay, it should get over now. It can. Okay. Now this guy is being a jerk. Is he gonna let me over? Yes. All right. So that was good. I mean, because that guy was coming up on me, and when he saw my blinker on, he did slow down, which is nice. But my car made that maneuver pretty well, considering that it's kind of busy today.
As we move forward, I should have mentioned this before, keep an eye on the user interface here, right, the center console, and notice what the vehicle does now, or what the display does now when it comes to switching lanes, right? It looks a lot more kind of like the autopilot, where it will highlight the whole lane, it'll show where it's going to go into. So just keep an eye on that. That's one of the new features or changes that we have with 10.11. So I just want to highlight that.
So let's see how we do turning onto Thames Street. It's kind of hit or miss how well it does here. Seems like it's reacting to these pedestrians a little bit. Okay, that was excellent. Totally normal. Sometimes it kind of freaks out there for some reason and kind of gives me the jerky wheel and hesitates, but that was completely normal. This is where I have a lot of problems. It's very hit or miss. If it gets the creeping up here onto Spring, there's a big house and fence here. So I like how it's approaching. It goes slower here. Okay, well, there was nobody coming, so that was fine. And it was a pretty decent turn too. This stop sign, sometimes it stops way too far back. Let's see how it does. It's a little far back, but it was better than past attempts. Around Washington Square. Let's see what happens. Does it pick the right way? Okay, that was actually quite smooth. Okay. Let's see how we do here. Ooh, it's really close to the curb there. I disconnected. All right, it's stopping here again. It really doesn't like it when there's, I'm taking over. It doesn't like it when there's traffic parked. It doesn't like this whole area, period. But when there's traffic parked here, I think it thinks that they are lead cars. And it's like thinking about it, trying to figure it out. Now, it's doing pretty well today going through this area, which it doesn't like a lot of times because it's like a wide open area with no markings. It often slows for this crosswalk, and I don't know why. Let's see how we do going around. Oh, wow, that was quite sure. That was actually really good. It still messed up in the area that it always messes up in. We're gonna go around the construction here. This is where we have to watch for the diagonal traffic. We're gonna go on the far side of that cone. It kind of has a hard time there sometimes because of the, I'm sure maybe the construction, and it's a very odd intersection. Let's see if we wait. No, it wasn't gonna wait. All right, that car is signaling me to go, so I'm just gonna go because of course Beta doesn't understand that kind of signal. Okay, now we've got a car we have to wait for coming from behind, and it did a really good job with.
So that was all the clips from Kim Parquet. I want to highlight three things. First of all, as far as the things that FSD Beta 10.11 struggled with, and again, this is just to make sure that we're being critical and we point out and highlight the things that need to be improved. So one, sometimes when vehicles are parked along the side of a street and it's a very narrow street, FSD might mistake that for being traffic, right, or a line it has to be into in order to proceed, especially with these, one-way streets where it's just very narrow. The second part, there's a couple construction areas where it struggled with a little bit. It handled other ones very well, but I'm going to focus on the things it needs to work on. So there are a couple construction areas it needs to work on. And then finally, and this is something that we've all known for quite some time, a lot of times people will wave you on, whether it's a police officer in the middle of the street because there's a broken traffic light, or if it's somebody in another car, everybody showed up at the four-way at the same time, and they're saying, hey, you can go, right? That's something that we're going to have to be able to pick up within the vehicles. So that is something else that will eventually have to be part of this to really have fully autonomous vehicles FSD. Now, the positive. That was pretty amazing. All right, that's a very, very difficult area to drive. Very small, narrow streets, lots of pedestrians, lots of traffic, but it handled it pretty well. And you could hear Kim talk about it constantly, how, okay, well, we'll see what happens here. It tends to struggle here, and then, oh, wow, it did it really good. Right, so you heard her say that multiple times, which is indicative of the constant improvements that we're seeing. So that's very encouraging with this software, this version, right? We want to be seeing these changes, and and this is why I like Kim, right? Because she is very objective. She doesn't get very emotional about things. She says, hey, it struggles here. We're doing good now. Oh, no, can't do that. We need to work on that. So, and that's what I try to find with these videos. I try to find the objective people. Up next, we're going to look at some of Omar's videos.
Okay, I got a skateboarder here. Didn't trip the system up. They recognized that skateboarder was out of the way. Conscious of this bicyclist as it's merging. Handle those pedestrians very smoothly. In previous builds, it might have very hard braked if it saw a pedestrian. Okay, waited to see if those people were going to cross the crosswalk. See, very smart. They didn't actually need to predict the crosswalk, but what you're seeing is it's starting to predict what people may do. It saw these guys far away even before they appeared in the visualization. It predicted, oh, they're walking in the direction of the crosswalk. Let me stop and let them cross. Someone running on the left popped up. Move the car out of the way quickly and smoothly, not panicked. They knew that was a speed bump in addition to a crosswalk. That's very good. It does seem that there's a lot more that the car can perceive than is necessarily in the visualization. And there's a bit of delay between when it reacts and when it actually appears in the visualization. Okay, it's waiting for these cars that are making a left.
Just going to pause it here for a second. I want to highlight something because Omar tends to drive in a lot of areas where you're going to see a lot of pedestrians. And I think one of the best signs that we're getting very close to having real autonomous vehicles out on the road is the fact that the vehicle can predict and anticipate what people are going to do, how they're going to move. Are they going to run out onto the street? Are they going to take this crosswalk? And you're going to see a lot more if we move forward. So think about that as we go. To be able to predict what a human being is going to do, how they're going to move, their vector, their velocity, the acceleration they're going at, that's a big deal. And that's arguably one of the hardest things to figure out when it comes to autonomous vehicles, is how do you take this unpredictable dynamic factor that can be on the sidewalk, in the street, can just randomly do whatever, and make sure that the vehicle does the right thing every single time. And we're not just talking about people walking or running, we're talking about bicyclists, skateboarders, as you just saw a second ago. So there's all kinds of scenarios, and at the end of the day, we want to preserve human life, right? That's one of the biggest goals of getting to autonomous vehicles. So keep an eye on that. Think about that in the back of your mind as we move forward. Also, funny thing to notice here as we continue, see that school bus ahead? Well, Omar is going to pass it thinking that's the right thing to do, and you'll see it was actually a big mistake, and he should have trusted FSD beta instead of his own instincts. Take a look at this.
And then going. Very good. I mean, I would be going around the bus. I don't know why it wants to drive here, behind this bus. This woman on my left is on her phone, so she's like not moving. She's just on my left. That's probably why it's not changing lanes. Maybe now that we're a little ahead of her, it can go. I could push the blinker and make it change, but I'm trying to see if it'll do it itself or not. Maybe there's some reason it wants to be on the right side of the road. We're just gonna tell it to change. Especially now that there's a roadwork sign. Who knows if that lane's gonna be closed or something. But it should have done that itself. It should have realized that nobody wants to drive behind a bus. Maybe it knew something about the right lane that I didn't, because it looks like it's flowing much more freely than the other two lanes.
So when I first watched that, I thought that was pretty funny, so that's why I really wanted to add it into this clip. We are seeing FSD beta, predict things a lot better than what we are in many ways. Not perfect by any means, but we are seeing more and more where FSD beta is making the right choice versus us. And here was the perfect example. Not only did Omar get stuck at a light after he went ahead and switched lanes to pass the bus, and then the bus made the light, but then once he gets out of that, another bus passes him, and then another car passes him. And if he would have only stayed in that right lane, he would be further along. So, sometimes it's prudent to trust FSD beta. All right, let's continue.
Made a wrong lane selection there.
So that was very quick and I don't know if you guys caught that, but FSD beta went into essentially a non-lane, a pullover of the highway. It thought it was a lane, but very quickly it corrected itself and got right back into the lane. No intervention needed. I don't think it's not right. Okay, like I want to caveat, I don't think it should do that for autonomous vehicles. We can't have mistakes like that, right? Those are the type of mistakes we can't have. However, as a human, I've done that. I'm sure you've done that. we've all almost, gotten into a lane like, oh, this isn't a lane. I got to get over, right? We've all done that. It's an innocent mistake. But my point in bringing this up is that once FSD can, get to a point where it won't make those type of mistakes, that's just another sign that it's better than a human driving. All right. So just wanted to throw that out there. Not saying it's okay. Not saying that we can, give it a pass on that. But I'm just saying, us as humans, we definitely make mistakes like that very frequently. So let's have a little grace for FSD beta. After all, it still has the moniker of beta for a reason.
But corrected itself. Here's an interesting edge case. There's a bunch of girls running. Okay. I thought they were maybe just running on the field and wouldn't run on the street. But the system didn't stop while they were running on the field, which is also important. You want to stop when they do run into the street and anticipate that they might run into the street, but you don't want to stop for people just running on the field and playing.
I'll add to what Omar was saying there. So they were on the field, about 4 or 5 girls, and they were running together, and then they end up crossing the street, right? Or running across the street. FSD beta, it didn't come to a complete stop. It didn't like jerk or hesitate or anything. Instead, it kept going. Then once it was, maybe a foot before they were actually onto the street, you could see that FSD beta was able to determine their velocity, their acceleration in relation to the vehicle's speed, right? To the vehicle's velocity and acceleration, right? Or in that case, deceleration. And so it was able to decelerate in a very smooth fashion as they passed, and then it was able to go back up to the speed it was. Very human-like, very graceful in the entire operation there. And those are the small little moments that I think people just take for granted for at this point. This is why I get a little frustrated sometimes when I hear people whine about FSD beta. It's like, you guys don't remember where we were version 8 apparently, because those little things we just take for granted now, which is good, I guess. It's a sign that we're getting closer and closer, because whenever we have a mistake, it's even more annoying now because, we're so used to it being almost flawless, almost. Still beta. But the fact that we're getting to that point, any little disruption, any error, it's like, oh, come on. Are you serious? Why are you doing that? Don't be stupid. Whereas with version 8, you're on high alert at all times. You're expecting 15 mistakes every, 2 minutes. So it's a sign of progress, even if it is annoying to hear people complain about these things.
Kind of a tight road. You got cyclists, you got cars here. Now she's getting really annoyed. Sorry. Okay, that's not really ideal. Didn't feel too good around the blind corner, but we did need to go around that guy. So I'll take it.
That is something I'm not really a fan of. I'm very cautious when it comes to blind corners like that. Now, I don't know everything that FSD beta could see or predict, or how it made its determination. So maybe it was safe, but from a person sitting behind a computer watching somebody else record while they do the drive, it didn't look like it was the safest maneuver. I also don't know how much it moved over into the other lane in relation, so that's hard to tell. A lot of times when you pass someone like that, you go pretty much into the other lane. So maybe FSD beta just put its left tires onto the line. So I think that would be okay to do. So I mean, again, the vehicle FSD beta is going to be able to have precision a lot better than we will as humans when it comes to that, right? When we're driving, I can't perfectly put my tires right on the line, whereas FSD beta has all of these extra sensors and all these extra cameras where it can see where it actually is in relation to the street. So maybe it's safe, but again, if I'm just being critical, if I'm just being very conservative, I would say don't do that. Wait until you have more of a straightaway, right? Like right here, this would be a perfect spot for it to go. All right, let's keep going.
Technically, it did what it was told. All right. What the hell's going on here? Looks like their car broke or something. Well, that was good. They actually handled that.
I thought that was pretty impressive. This little Mr. Bean three-wheel vehicle essentially broke down, it looked like, on the road, and you had people, you had a few gentlemen there helping that lady push it out of the road, and FSD Beta just waited till it was clear, and then it proceeded. Right? This isn't something that. This is why these edge cases are so important, right? We can make simulators, but that's something that maybe you won't be able to predict in a simulator, right? These type of situations. So that's why all this data, all these real world miles matter, because maybe a Tesla has seen a situation like that before, so it knew what to do. So those things are very important. Okay, now this one coming up is, again, proof that we're still in beta, but again, these are the reasons we do it, for these types of moments. And again, you have to give credit to all of these drivers because they're putting themselves and their vehicles at risk when they do these things. So let's take a look at this one.
It's like trying to wait for that biker to go. Okay. Oh, God. Just trying to like avoid these cyclists getting too close to that metal thing. That was the first time I've had to take over with this update.
Alright, so
You could hear at the end there, that was Omar's first time in, I think, 3 drives that he had to take over for FSD Beta. Again, that was a very clear mistake at the end there. And I would argue that, blind spot, you could consider that a mistake as well. Although, again, like I said, that's me being hypercritical. I don't know everything the vehicle knows. But with that said, this just shows you how close we're getting, right? Omar consistently has very few interventions, very few. So I thought that was very impressive. Now, up next, we're going to go to Chicago, and this is Frenchie. So let's take a look at what he has here. And let me prime you real quick. This first turn up here is one that FSD Beta has failed many, many times. It's succeeded a couple times, but not well. Essentially, there's a road that's closed off, and FSD Beta still tries to go down that road instead of reading the sign and determining, oh no, it's closed, I have to take the next turn down. So let's see what happens here.
we don't have the tent on the right hand side. We only have the sign that says road closed. There's a few people. Let's see if they're going to cross. Yep. Car is being very careful. Another pedestrian. Then we should be able to go. I don't know what the gentleman is doing. Okay, he's crossing right in the middle. Okay, and here we go. Perfect. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, made it. So, I don't know if you recognize that road close sign, but in any case, it took the correct lane. It was being very careful. This lady's waiting for us. I actually had to wave at her because I think FSD would have waited anyway, but might as well just tell her to go. Okay, we're gonna make a right turn here. We have a lot of people, a lot of pedestrians here. Let's see. Yeah, slowing down. That's pretty good. That is actually pretty good. It felt safe, but at the same time, the car was going. It wasn't just sitting there waiting for the whole intersection to clear.
How impressive was that? All right, the vehicle, there's all these pedestrians on that crosswalk, and the vehicle is trying to take a right turn into it. And instead of just sitting there waiting until the crosswalk's completely clear, it nudges its way in very slowly, very safely, very gracefully, and it nudges its way in until it's clear, and the second it's clear, it just goes on. That was so human-like. And again, those are the things that I think we really got from this update, is a lot of those moments, a lot of that more organic driving.
Let's see, are you gonna go around? Go around, please. Yes, yes. No, there's a car. No. All right. To be fair, I would have probably done exactly the same. I have literally zero visibility here. I don't know what is behind this truck. I'm gonna re-engage here. Let's see. Okay, it's clear now. Should be able to go. All right. Yeah, like I said, I would have done pretty much the same. Good. All right, you're gonna be able to squeeze in. Yeah, that's good. We go to the next waypoint. Whoa. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Would have I done something different? I mean, this guy cut us off, and the car brake. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I would have done something different. Oh, there's a speed bump here. Please see it. No, no, no. Okay, taking over. All right. It is our turn now. It's going. Okay. It's picking the left lane. Moving on to the right lane with this beautiful visualization of lane change. Come on, you can do it. Yes. Very nice. Yeah, that was pretty good. We had we had to take over once for the speed bump, and that's pretty much it, really. Few things here and there. Oh, it did very well, the road close sign. That was really good. And that indicator at the end, but pretty much the rest was flawless. So yeah, pretty impressive. This version is pretty good.
So I'll say there's more than just one takeover. So there's a takeover for the speed bump, and there's also takeover whenever essentially the vehicle couldn't see, nobody could see, and they had to go around that truck. And so you kind of got to stick your nose out there just to see. And so the vehicle tried to go in there, and sure enough, there's another vehicle coming. So Frenchie had to back out. Now that's something I think FSD will be able to figure out. I don't think that's that complicated. Elon says that the backup feature is already there, but I've only seen, I think, one person ever use it, or not use it, but I've only seen it ever work for one person. I forget who it was. It might have been Omar. It might have been Gali. But the point is, those are the edge cases, right? Those are the edge cases we want. Now, overall, excellent drive here, even with that car cutting off Frenchie. It still stopped in time, very organically. Could have stopped sooner, sure, but I think it would have been more of a jerk of a stop. And so the vehicle decided to, maybe push a little closer just so they could have a smoother stop. Either way, he didn't have to disengage, which is the main point. So again, 2 disengagements for that drive. It's getting better. Handle that road close sign. Read it, understood what was going on, went around the other way. So that's another big deal. And this is why cameras are so much better than using something like LiDAR. LiDAR, sure, it can take 100, 1,000 points of an object and say, okay, that looks like it might be a stop sign. Cameras can say, hey, that says stop. All right, that's the difference. Right, with sight, we can see things. This is why passive systems are going to be the way forward, in my opinion, and in Elon's opinion. So I wouldn't bet against Elon. Just my 2 cents. All right, let's continue here.
Okay, looks like this left turn is jam-packed. That can often be an issue for the software. Sometimes it'll bypass or just give up and go straight, kind of like what this car did. So let's see if it's able to get into the left turn lane.
So just pausing here, if you think back to Kim Parquet when we saw the vehicle trying to get into those parked cars in that one lane, very narrow road, this is the type of situation that it thinks it's in. You can see right here, all these cars are backing up and to take a left. It's now in the main part that you would just go straight, but that turn lane is just full. So it's bleeding off into the straight part of the road. And I think that's what FSD Beta sometimes thinks it's in, especially with Kim Parquet. But anyways, I just want to tie in those 2 scenarios together to kind of stitch these problems or scenarios together. And so again, here you can see Omar saying, normally it'll try to go around just like that previous vehicle did, and so we'll see what happens here.
And make the left turn as you want it to. So far so good. You made it into the left turn lane. No green light though. I would have gone for that, but the software did the more safe thing, I guess. Some of the roundabouts in these areas can be pretty tight, so hopefully it's able to handle it. It may not be able to handle it. Yep, very... This one isn't as tight as some of them are. But, okay, good. There was a car going the other way, so that was nice the way it handled that without me having to push the accelerator. Beautiful. Never did we imagine autopilot handling roundabouts like that, with no input, no accelerator press, nothing, just doing it all itself, making sure it's clear to go. Very impressive work by the autopilot team. Oh look, there's a Waymo. Oh, this is interesting. That was good. Huh. I did not think you'd be able to do that with the Waymo blocking the lane there. But it went around it, remembered, I guess, or... See what Elon is saying about the takeovers getting rare. I haven't had one takeover yet since I installed this update. Now, oh, I'm gonna jinx it, shit. What the hell was that? That was close. But, no disengagement. Yeah. I haven't had one takeover. I gotta stop saying that, I'm gonna jinx it. I haven't had one takeover yet since I got the update in the first 3 drives.
Clearly, those clips are out of sync, right? I put the other ones ahead first, mainly just because I thought the pedestrians were more interesting. But now, here we go. This is the last one we're going to look at. These are from Chuck Cook. This is the unprotected left-hand turn. And now we're going to go, so we've gone from Rhode Island to California to Chicago, back to California. Now we're going to go down to Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. This is the unprotected left-hand turn. And being somebody who lives in Florida, this is a very common situation for us when we drive in Florida, at least the way our roads are. I can't speak for everywhere, but in Florida, this is very common.
I think your battery's dying.
What's going on?
It's got a symbol that I've never seen before.
On the camera?
Yeah. It's
All right,
orange.
well, let's just keep going.
Okay. Still recording.
So what happens is, you have these turns and you just have so much traffic coming that you essentially have to live on the median, right? You're fighting to get onto the median so that then you can merge onto traffic. And for FSD beta, it seems to not have the ability or function or the authorization to go and live on medians yet. So we'll see what happens with that over the long term. I think it's going to have to be a necessity. You can't wait for both sides to be open and free, right? You'll be there forever. But let's continue here and let's see how this goes for Chuck Cook, right? This has been something we've been watching for a long time. And I've said many times, the day that FSD beta can go onto the median and can handle this nonstop, I think that will be the day that we're there and we're ready to go for full FSD no longer being beta. My thoughts, my opinions, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Here we are, turn number 1, version 10.11. All right, a little bit of creeping behavior here. It's creeping. Now it needs to stop there. Stop. There we go. That's a nice spot. It needs to stop. Now there's a tiny gap it can't go for, but I don't think it's going to go for it because of the traffic coming from the right. And I was correct, so it didn't go for that. There's a little gap here, but it's still busy from the right. Still busy from the right. I can hear the brake kind of popping every time it thinks it wants to go, but it's not going to go here. Now here's a big gap, and it needs to go to the median right now. But it's waiting for traffic from the right. Okay, it needs to stop. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic coming from the left now. So that was actually pretty good so far, only because it's definitely not using median logic. It's got to have it clear from the left and the right, and I was trying to pan with my finger while I was looking both directions. Lot of traffic coming both directions, so it's just gonna sit here. I'm not watching the trajectory much or seeing what the median's being mapped, but it looks like there's a little bit of a median being mapped there. A little bit of a gap that it wanted to go, but there's traffic from the right. Oh man, this is varsity. It's like 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon. Maybe a little bit of rush hour traffic starting to build up. There's nobody behind me, so I don't have to try to squeeze it into the median yet. All right, so there's a gap coming from the right. So let's see if it can find a gap from the left where it'll go for it. There's one coming. It needs to be a little bit patient, though. It's about another 15 seconds. And it's going to be a nice big gap, I think. Oh, this is going to work out great. I can tell. It's just going to have to wait. Okay, this is the last car. All right, it should go now. Oh, look at that. It's okay. It paused right there. Bad on that pause. And then it went, let's see what lane it goes into, and into the left lane. It did it. It paused in that first lane, and I think it was looking to the right when it paused in that first lane. It shouldn't be pausing there. The gap was big enough that it wasn't a big deal, but I have a feeling that even if traffic was coming, it would have paused there just from its previous behavior. But I'm gonna give it a thumbs up just on the fact that it was patient and waited. Okay. Here we go again. So this time I've got a little bit of a truck here, like from a fence company that's stopped at the stop sign up here. Looks like it's got its bearings now. And there's a car on the opposing lane that's got priority here. It needs to give way to that. It does have it marked blue, which is good, which means I know it's looking at it, but it needs to creep and wait. Creep and wait right there. Ooh, went a little further than I would have. This car is moving. He has the right of way, so I can't go yet. It didn't even try to go. Okay, it started to nudge there. Now there's a little gap here from the left, and it would need to go to the median right now. Let's see what it does. It's waiting. Ah, there's another car that's gonna have to wait for us. See this? Look at this. Okay, oh, don't go. Oh, look what, okay, let's see. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow, it weaved. Interesting. Now it was really slow in the intersection there, but that car was turning left and it was going. I don't think I would have done that. I would have waited and let that car go just in case something happened. But it was measuring the merge, maybe, I guess you could call it. But it did 2 in a row. Okay, take 3. I'm seeing a lot more blue cars, I think, than previous builds here, okay? Stop and creep. All right, we got a lot of traffic both directions, so it just needs to get out here where it can wait. I'm going to show you both the right and the left with the screen here. Yeah, it's got nowhere it can go. So as long as it sits here comfortably and doesn't ooch out too much further, I'm comfortable. I do have a truck behind me now, so I'm not going to be able to be like super patient here. I'm going to wait on a nice safe gap, but I might have to force it to go into the median. Okay, it's starting to creep out a little bit. Ooh, I've got a nice big gap on the right, but nothing on the left yet, so it's gonna just have to wait. There's the gap on the right, you can see. Coming back to the left. All right, it popped the brake there, which, is it okay? Is it gonna go? It needs to go, it needs to go, it needs to go. Whoa, I let it go, but boy, I would have probably pressed the accelerator a little harder. It didn't stop though. My foot was right there on the accelerator. So all of you that think that I don't let this thing try its thing, you need to watch that clip about 100 times, because that was as close as I'm gonna ever let it go. But it was steady. It wasn't pausing, so I let it go. Hey, that's 3 in a row. We'll try another one. And here we go again. FSD beta 10.11. Stop and creep. Here we go, we're creeping. I'm leaning forward. I'm about 1.5 feet ahead. Oh my gosh, is it gonna, okay. All right, I had to stop that one. And I'm out. I'm gonna hit reverse here. So that was not what I wanted. It went too far out, and look, there's a car behind me, and I had to do the reverse there. It was anxious. It's going to be interesting to see from the drone view whether or not I was in the road too much, but there were cars that were going around me in the lane just to give me a buffer. I don't know. It was too far out into the road. So far, only had one that jumped the gun too much for my comfort level. Slowly creep, slowly creep. Stop. Okay, we got to stop there. Good. It stopped. There's a little bit of a fast creep, but something you could gain confidence in if you knew it was just trying to get to a certain point. When I lean my head back to the B-pillar, I've got a decent view, but I'm leaning pretty far forward to get a comfortable view. I got a lot of traffic coming. Yeah, so this might be like the first one where we got to wait a little while. Both directions. Tiny gap coming from the left. We'll see if it lines up with anything from the right. Okay, it might try it here, but it needs to wait. Okay, it did. I think it waited not because of traffic on the left. I think it waited because of traffic on the right. All right, it's nudging itself out there again, a little bit uncomfortably. Okay, it's got a nice gap from the left and the right. It can go right now. It can go right now. Let's go all the way. Don't pause. Don't pause. There we go, with a nice acceleration all the way through. It did it. Got a opposing traffic marked blue, so it should just sit here and wait without too much of a creep. Says it's creeping. It is creeping a little bit, trying to get it in its viewpoint. It needs to wait. Wait. Ah, it's way out there. This is uncomfortable. Okay, if it's not going to go here, yeah. Cars are going way around me here. I've got no buffer. I can see them going around me. I'm not going to reverse this time, only because my foot is right on the brake if anything happens. Okay. Oh, no, it cannot. Okay. So it went, yeah, it picked the wrong hole that time. That was unfortunate because it stuck its nose out so far. It had a good view and it went for it right in front of that little green car. Stop there. Creep next. All right, got a good slug of traffic coming. It needs to be patient here. All right, the left lane is open, but all the other lanes are jammed, so it needs to just sit here. It's both directions again. And I do have a car coming up from behind me. I'm gonna have to wait. Okay, I've got a motorcycle actually out here in the median now. He's got right of way. I don't want it to weave like it did with that first car with him too close. Let's see what happens here. I've got a nice gap from the right. We might get our chance here. Let's see what it does. That motorcycle's gonna go. We're waiting. Okay, we're waiting. We still have a good gap from the left. Wait, is it gonna go for one of these little holes? It needs to wait. Oh, don't go for that. Don't go for that. Okay, I'm in the road. If it goes, it needs to go. It needs to go. Go, 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 go. Okay, I had to hit the accelerator there. Yeah, so it did not like that because I had to jump into the median. It was too slow. So, unfortunately, it picked the wrong gap on that one. That's unfortunate. I even got honked out there because I jumped into the median. So, well, some good, some bad. All right, here we go again. And nice and easy one with a nice big left lane open. No problem there.
So as you guys can tell, we're getting close, all right? Chuck Cook showed us a lot of attempts here where, FSD Beta did end up doing it, although, albeit it didn't actually go into the median, but it saw everything was clear on the left and the right, and then it went, and it did it pretty well. A couple times, it didn't do it so well, right? So this is where we're at right now. FSD Beta 10.11 is definitely a big leap forward. It's a big improvement, but there's still more to do. And I think as the year goes on, and when I say the year, I mean 2022, we're going to get closer and closer to getting to a feature complete version of FSD Beta, or at least to a level 4 person, better than a human, as Elon Musk would say. Alright, so hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Hopefully it was able, I know it's a longer video, but hopefully it allowed you to claw back some of your time by allowing me to clip some of the more interesting things out there. If you were to watch all of these together, you'd probably spend several hours watching all these videos, so hopefully this provides some value to you. Alright, do me a favor, if you enjoy this content, if you thought it was valuable, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. I love you all. Peace.